report investigated a specific allegation related to sick leave abuse in fire rescue service, but the follow-up to the report really has looked more generally at enforcing and being sure there are appropriate guidelines and mechanisms to enforce sick leave policies, not only in fire rescue, but across all county departments. And so a number of the responses that the committees heard in January were certainly that fire rescue was going to undertake some specific measures related to their policies and enforcements, but then also that the county would do a similar kind of review of sick leave patterns across other departments. And I know that that has occurred, and also that County Stat has been involved in a lot of the audit and data analysis of that information. So what you have in front of you today is really update on the status of efforts to implement what was presented to you in January. And in general, the responses back certainly show that the executive branch has taken a lot of actions that they have, that again were discussed, and we can talk about the outcomes of those.
In looking at relationships between sick leave and other absences, are you continuing to look at people who may take sick leave and then the next day take somebody else's shift and get overtime because sick leave counts as sick leave, and that gives you your required number of hours, and then you pick up an extra shift? And whether there's any swapping going on between people who get sick on different days and then take each other's shifts, is that something you monitor?
Yes, it is something we monitor, and also we look at sick leave usage before or after a Kelly day. We look at sick leave usage only on a weekend. We look at patterns like that, and those can be defined as abuse.
I think it's important to keep in mind that sometimes the sick leave numbers get skewed by FEMLA, which is Family and Medical Leave Act, or some supervisors refer to it as the Monday-Friday Leave Act. And FEMLA trumps all sick leave restrictions. You cannot put an employee who is on FEMLA on sick leave restriction. You cannot require a medical note. And this reached almost an epidemic proportion a couple of years ago, and OHR centralized the entire FEMLA process and put it in OMS. Before that, each department had handled it themselves, and it is a complex statute, and it was difficult for first-line supervisors and even managers to administer. And my understanding that it's from departments is that the current system where it's centralized in OMS has worked out much better.
A supervisor who suspects abuse could request a medical note if the employee is taking leave under the family leave rather than for themselves.
No, they cannot. The Labor Department regulations specifically prohibit that. The big problem occurs when an employee has been approved for FEMLA on an intermittent basis.
If there were patterns of Monday and Friday and it's happened 5 times in a 2-month period, I would go back and ask the department, what did you do here? Because there seems to be 5 occurrences or 4 occurrences. Was there a verbal conversation? Was there a written reprimand? Was there, now you're going into some other level of disciplinary action because you see that there's some form of abuse.